We were discussing about Ansible playbooks and one particular scenario wherein if we want to execute a playbook on different distributions and we want to write a playbook which is generic, that playbook has to run on any distribution. So for that we have to use a loop, kind of if loop, wherein we basically check if the distribution is Linux, use this command. If the distribution is, in the sense, if a distribution is Red Hat, use this module. If the distribution is Ubuntu, use this module. That's what we used when, wherein when is like it checks whether a particular operating system is Red Hat, and then it uses yum module for installing HTTPD. It uses apt module for installing Apache 2, right? So let us try to execute it again. This is the playbook, right? So if it is Red Hat or CentOS, use yum module to install HTTPD. If it is Ubuntu, which is Debian, use Apache 2 to install HTTPD package. So I'll just run it. So if it is a Red Hat operating system, what it will do is it will try to install the package. If it is Ubuntu operating system, it will skip it, as you see here. This task is skipped on the agent because the operating system on the agent is CentOS. Right? Since it is CentOS operating system, this will not execute anything related to Ubuntu. Okay, so when we executed it, it executed on the Red Hat. You can see that in green. And when it is executed on Ubuntu, when it is executed the Ubuntu part, it is skipped executing. So if it is Red Hat, it will execute only Red Hat part and it will skip Ubuntu part. And if it is executing on Ubuntu, it will skip the Red Hat part. Is this clear? So simple if loop, basically to check some condition. So what are the variables we have in Ansible? Let us say I'm using a variable called Ansible underscore OS underscore family. From where I'm getting from a component called facts. Facts is a component that actually stores information about the agent. So when we execute a playbook, it collects the information about the each agent for the first time. That is what is setup module, the first module, gathering facts. So we'll see how to list all the variables in facts. Is this clear? This playbook is this clear? This playbook, this particular playbook. So let us say I want to execute a playbook, and so generally developers when they write program, we write starting from this, and we write number of lines, right? So this is actually not a good way to write a program, right? So how do we write a program? So let us say if I'm repeatedly doing a particular task and I can take out that code which is repeatable, which I'm doing, and that I can put it inside a function, right? That we have seen in the shell scripting, how to use functions. So basically for modularity, for reusability, right? In the same way, in Ansible also we can use a keyword called include. So let us say I'm adding two numbers multiple times, right? So I can define a playbook for adding two numbers separately, and I can just include that inside my program like this, right? So when we execute a playbook, what happens is it also checks the add.yaml playbook and it executes the playbook. So basically this is like reusability, calling another playbook from the current playbook. So we write a playbook. In the playbook, we just include another playbook. So that playbook will be called, right? So what is the use of having include? We don't have to repeat the code again and again, right? So basically, when we write a program, we write functions. Why functions are needed? For reusability, for modularity. Let us say you have 100 lines of code and there is a function which is there is a task which is getting repeated, let us say 5 times. the task has 10 lines of code. So what we do is we have 50 lines of code in the program. So what we can do is we can take out the 10 lines of code and define a function, and that we can call 5 times with only 5 lines. So this way the lines of code reduces, it looks modular, it's like this is a reusability. In the same way we can use include keyword in Ansible that will actually call another playbook, right? So we'll see that. This is include playbook. Basically nothing like just we included another YAML file. So this is in some other path. So what it does, so this can do any task like installing the package or creating a file, starting a service. So here I'm using a module called file. What file does? It basically creates a dummy file. Okay. And what is the state? State equal to touch. So it will basically touch the file on the agent. Okay. So we'll just try to create a dummy file using file.yaml. So I'll just change some file, temp dummy state equal to touch. So what this will do, this file module will touch a file called temp dummy on the agent. Okay. So we'll just execute this. So where is my actual playbook? This is my actual playbook, which is like I'm including the file. What is there in the file? This will just touch the file, touch a file called temp dummy on the agent. Okay, so let us try to execute this playbook. Actually, there is nothing in the include.yaml. It is just calling another playbook called file.yaml, which is in other path, right? So something is changed. Let us see if this file has got created on the agent. Yes, the file is created. What is the time? Before a second, right? If a file is created before a second on the agent using the file module. So this is to create a file. If you want to create a directory also, we can create, but here instead of file name equal to directory name, state equal to, we need to give directory instead of touch. That will create a directory. So let us try that also. We were just trying to manage the agent, create some directories, create some files on the agent, and we are using something called include keyword. Include keyword is to call another playbook inside one playbook. So I'll say state equal to directory. So this should create a directory called temp dummy1 on the agent when I execute this playbook. Okay, so let us see what is happening. So temp dummy, let us say give star, a directory called temp dummy1 is created. Or if you just see, if you just want to list the directories, what is the command? Just want to list the directories in temp. You have seen this in previous classes, Linux classes. How to list directories, only directories inside a particular directory. ls-ld temp. Not working. Any other way? The only listing temp. I want the directories inside temp. We have seen some regular expressions that will list. Anybody can remember? How do we list out? How do we filter? Basically, there is a content. From the content, I want to filter the directory. Yes, right. So grep starting with caret D. Sorry, I have to do it on temp. So in the temp, I want to list the directories starting with directory always starts with D. So these are all the directories which are there in temp, right? So inside that, I want to list temp dummy, dummy one. This is a directory which is created before a few seconds. Is this clear? Is this clear? So very simple, right? You just call another playbook and that playbook gets executed. So what is the use? This is a simple program. So, I mean, there is, I don't think there is any use, but if you are writing very large programs and you have a lot of things to write and you have a lot of functions to define and you're calling your tasks repeatedly, then we can use this include function to inside in the code. Right? So that's a common practice, best practice. Like when a developer is developing something, we shouldn't write something like a monolithic program wherein you write everything in a single file, right? So it should be something like there will be a main file and there will be some functions, there will be some modules. So when the control goes, initially the execution starts from main file and it goes to somewhere else, right? And it comes back with the result and then it goes to somewhere else. So it will be like that, right? So basically for reusability and modularity. Just go ahead.
Yeah, I was
Any
thinking,
questions?
can you just quickly review what you have done? Like, we're still doing Ansible because I just joined now, so I just missed the first part. We are still on Ansible, right?
We are still in Ansible. We just started with Ansible. Did you attend the Ansible configuration in the sense how to configure Ansible on two machines, how to set up SSH, how to set up passwordless communication between the two
Yeah,
nodes?
yeah, I covered everything from last classes. Just this morning, I just joined now, so this morning.
Okay, okay. So, I mean, there is nothing much I covered. Just a second, let me finish this and we'll go.
Okay.
So, this is a group called web servers and I want to print the facts. What is facts? Facts is a component that will basically give information about the agent. So, ansible.os.family is a variable which I got from facts. Now, let us just list the facts. So if you see, these are the facts. These are in terms of the a key and a value pair. If you see lot of information about the system, what is the operating system, what is the distribution, what is the hardware architecture, what is the OS family, what is the IP address. So everything about the system will be maintained by a component called facts. This is for any agent. So for the first time when you run a playbook, it actually gathers the facts. So this is nothing but the information about the system. If you see IP addresses of a machine, IP6, IPv6 addresses of a machine, and hardware architecture, BIOS, command line. So there will be a lot of parameters which will be maintained by facts. So for all the agents, Ansible master collects the facts, the information about the system using a component called facts. Now we used a variable called, we'll just redirect it to a file and see what is there in the facts. We used a variable called Ansible underscore OS underscore family that has given me whether the operating system is Red Hat or Ubuntu, right? So let us see if that variable is present here. Ansible underscore OS underscore family. See, you got it, right? So here, when we just execute a variable inside a playbook, actually it executes facts and it gets information from there, right? or if I just say Ansible underscore OS, or what is that, IPv4 or IPv6 address, or let us say file system. What is the file system? Or let us say hardware architecture, 664. So this way we can get any information about the machine. I think there will be also information about the mount points, what all the mount points we have on the machine. So like this, we can get any information about the agent from facts, right? So how do we get the facts about the agent? We can run using setup module, which is like Ansible -m, the group name -m setup -tree temp facts. So this will print in a tree kind of structure all the facts which are available for a particular machine. Is this clear? So this will create a directory called temp facts. Under that, yes, what is that?
Where is temp facts? Where is it?
Yeah,
I'm
coming to that.
Okay.
So it will create a directory called temp facts. Under that, it will create a directory. It will create a file called agent. And if you go inside the agent, there will be all the facts. So this will be, I mean, not properly formatted. That's why I have shown on the command line. When you execute this particular command, it will give proper output on the screen, right, with properly formatted in key and value format. So Ansible underscore OS underscore family is a key. Red Hat is the value associated with that, right? So here setup is the module. How do we get the facts? Using setup module. And what is -tree does? It basically creates a directory called temp facts. Under that agent, under that it will give information about all the parameters. Is this clear? If you see, it has created a file with the name agent. Why it has created with the name agent?
Because we ran and I think we have to run the module, any of the modules.
No, basically agent is the name of the Ansible agent. If you just go here on the agent, if you see the host name of this machine is agent.
Oh.
And if you see here also on the inventory file, we have named that machine as the agent. That's why it has created a name with the agent. This is the agent. If you have multiple machines like agent 1, 2, 3, 4, it will create multiple machines, multiple files with the name. What is the name I give? Temp facts. So it will create another file with agent 1, agent 2, agent 3 like that. So for every one machine, it will create a file. Is this clear? This is Ansible facts. So let us go back to our playbooks. So let us say there is one scenario, particular scenario, right? What is that? And you are using some confidential information in the playbook. Or you have written a playbook and you don't want anybody else to see it or execute it, right? So I want to restrict people from executing or seeing the playbook. Right? So how do we do that? So basically we want to protect the playbook. So there is a component called Ansible Vault. This is basically encrypts the playbook. With a password, right? So if someone wants to see, he cannot see because the playbook is encrypted. And if someone wants to execute also, it will ask the password. So it will ask to set up a password. So we can set the password. So only the person who knows the password can be able to execute it. Others cannot execute it, right? And while executing the playbook, it decrypts and executes on the fly. This is called Ansible Vault, basically for security. And if you have some confidential information in the playbook, we can restrict people from accessing it using Ansible Vault component. Okay, so let us try that. So Ansible Vault, this is a command, and let us say I have some playbook. So what is the playbook we have just now seen? Include.yaml. Let us say include.yaml and enter. Is that Ansible Vault? Just a minute. Like playbook or something we need to give. Okay, sorry, I missed encrypt. Ansible Vault encrypt. So this will ask for a password. Let us say I give some password, root123, root123. Now, if you open the playbook, it will be encrypted. See, so it uses some encryption algorithms like AES 256. This is advanced encryption policy. And then if you want to, let us say, see the file, we have encrypted. How do we decrypt, right? So if it is simple, something like there is something called include.yaml. It will create another file with the encrypted version. Now we cannot see the text file, whatever we have created just now, right? Or let us say I have httpd.yaml. This is my file. Now if I encrypt it, what happens? Encrypt http.yaml, and it will ask a password. So you set some password, and then if I open that again, http.yaml, I cannot see the file. So there will be some encrypted text. So who has done it? This is Ansible Vault, basically for encrypting the playbook, right? So how do I access it? How do I execute the playbook? Do I need to decrypt? No, not required. So we can simply execute the playbook. Ansible will take care of decrypting on the fly. But it will ask the password. When you're executing, it will ask the password. Sorry, I need to give ask vault pass. So you can specify the password, then it will start executing. And it did not decrypt, it executes in the encrypted format only. Okay, now if you see the include.yaml, it is still encrypted, right? So how do we decrypt? Ansible Vault decrypt and then include.yaml, and it will ask the password again, and if you give the right password, it will decrypt, right? So Ansible Vault is a component of Ansible, basically for encrypting the playbook, restricting others from accessing, executing, seeing the playbook. So we can encrypt and we can decrypt using Ansible Vault command. And how do we execute? We don't even have to decrypt to execute a playbook. On the fly, Ansible will decrypt provided we give the right password, right? If you see, it would have created another file just now with the decrypted version. Is this clear? Is this clear? What is Ansible Vault? How to use it? Encrypts the password. What is the command? Ansible Vault encrypt playbook name. That's a sample.yaml. This is to encrypt, right? Ansible Vault AULT. Decrypt sample.yaml to decrypt. And how to execute without decrypting? Ansible playbook sample.yaml, and the command is --ask vault pass to execute. Is this clear? Any questions? Vault. Okay. Which module we use to list out Ansible facts? It is setup module, Ansible -m setup, and we can list in a tree format, --tree temp some directory. So that will create one file for each agent, and it will list out all the variables available for Ansible facts, right? So let us take a real-time scenario. I want to set up a data center, and I want to set up 30 web servers, 30 database servers, let us say 30 application servers, and 10 monitoring servers. For example, okay. So I want to set up 100 servers like this. So what does web server mean? We need to install HTTPD, Apache or Tomcat or some web server on it, and we have to configure it. We have to start the service, and we have to copy the template, and we have to copy some picture files, jar files or whatever. Then we have to make it up and running. Let us say we have written a playbook called http.yaml to perform this job. Okay? And let us say I have database server. So what is database? Let us say MySQL, right? So I need to configure MySQL on all 30 machines. So what do we need to do? Let us say I have written a playbook called mysql.yaml, which will go ahead and install MySQL database, and it configures it. It creates some users, it creates some passwords, etc. Right? And application, let us say my project name is XYZ, and I need to install my application on the 30 application server. Let us say all are Linux machines. Right? So again, I need to write a playbook xyz.yaml, and in that xyz.yaml, I need to have xyz.yaml. I need to install the application. I need to configure, and there are some 100 steps to perform. Right? So what is monitoring server? Monitoring server is basically to monitor all these machines. Right? So some monitor.yaml I have written that will install a monitoring tool like Vagrant or something. It will just monitor all the servers. So how do we go about creating this infrastructure in the organization? So how do we arrange our playbooks, right? So there is something like when we start a machine, we have to do some basic stuff, right? Installing SSH, installing Python, install Perl, installing Ruby, etc. So these are common to anything, right? Let us say there are some common tasks to be performed. So how do we write a playbook that will take care of all these things, right? So the first approach is for web servers, I write a playbook, http.yaml. In that only, I include all the common tasks. What is that? Install SSH, configure SSH, install Python. So these are actually tasks. I'm just writing like this, but there is something called name, and there is something called module associated with each of the task, right? So like this, I have to write a lot of other things, Perl, Ruby, etc., etc. So there are some 100 commands to be executed. So the first approach is I take web servers playbook, I write all the common tasks, then I write actual httpd.yaml code here. Is this proper approach? Anyone? Is there any better way compared to this? Why? Because in the approach
Like,
one, let us talk this. Let us call this as approach one. So you are architect. You are designing the solution. So you have defined web servers group, and in the DB servers group also, what you do is we install again SSH, install configure SSH, some etc etc. Then we actually add MySQL code here. And in the DB servers also again, application servers also, you again perform the common task. You write the common task code here, and then we write application code to install XYZ. Yes, go ahead. Tell me.
like writing a separate playbooks for each thing, like for basic installations, a separate playbook, and all separate playbooks for web servers, and calling it in a single playbook will work, I think.
Absolutely. So this is a not so good approach. So we have to go for the second approach, which is we define a playbook called common.yaml. In that YAML, we basically write the code that is to perform common tasks. Right? Then our web server's playbook look like. So what do we do is we just say include common.yaml, and we just say then we write our actual code here, http.yaml code here. In the same way, you have DB servers. We just say include common.yaml, and we give mysql.yaml code here. Right? So this is a single playbook. DB servers is a single playbook. Inside that, I'm just using a single line. What is that? Include common.yaml. Then I go ahead and write my MySQL code. What is that code? Install MySQL, configure MySQL, etc., etc. Right? So why second approach is better compared to first approach? What is wrong with the first approach? Reusability. In the first approach, common tasks you are writing, let us say that common task code is 100 lines. That 100 lines is getting repeated every time. Every time you need to copy paste that 100 lines in each playbook. So instead of that, I take out that code which is getting repeated, and I write a playbook for that, and I call it as common.yaml. Then I just say one line, with one line include .common.yaml. I'm getting all the code inside web servers.yaml, DB servers, web servers group or DB servers group, right? So this way, second approach is definitely better compared to first approach. Agree? Are you following? Okay. So second approach is better, but do we have any other approach? Let us say I need to define a lot of input parameters. So when you're designing a solution, we need to take care of something like you have to do something, you have to perform some tasks. For that task, we need to write, we need to have some input parameters, right? So how do we process them? We need to have a configuration file just for having the input parameters, right? So let us say HTTP has some port here, and you are hard coding that port in http.yaml. That is not right, right? So we shouldn't hard code anything. We should have a separate file to just to mention the input parameters, right? So let us say in the http.yaml only we specified the port number. Now port number is changed. Now we need to go ahead and change in http.yaml, right? Ideally, we should never touch the source code for changing something, some input parameters. We should have a separate file created for just defining the input variables. Right? So no developer will write, will declare the variables inside the source code. This is our source code. Web servers, this playbook, entire playbook is our source code. In the source code, we should never declare, we should never hard code the variables, right? So in approach 3, what do we do is we create a directory structure. In the web server, let us say I create this group. What is that? HTTPD is the group name. Under that, I create directories, vars, and I say main.yaml. Here, what do we define? I just define the variables inside this. What are the variables? Something like I define HTTP underscore port is equal to 8080. Some port. And tomorrow, and actual my code is inside some other directory. What is that? Let us say main task.yaml. So my actual execution starts from task.yaml, but all the parameters are defined inside var's main.yaml. So if I want to use the variable, I can use something like this, right? HTTP underscore port. We have seen how to use a variable inside a playbook, right? So do you think this third approach is better compared to second approach? So here also we can include a lot of other playbooks, but additionally we have a proper directory structure. Here we have something called templates directory. Under that I'll place my index.html. So what happens is this index.html is specific to this particular directory, in the sense this particular playbook. So if you use templates, maybe if you use the second approach, everything you have put in etc Ansible playbooks. But here I have a specific directory for each task. For web servers, I have a directory. Under that, I have all these subdirectories. For DB servers, I have a directory. Under that, I have all these directories, right? Let us say I have files also, I have a directory. Under that, I specify my cloud.png or some var file or some jar files, right? So I have some other directories are for different purposes. So in first approach, we are writing the monolithic code, which is absolutely not good. In the second approach, little better compared to first approach, because we are calling something called include, which is like we are not defining the code again and again. We have written a playbook and we are calling it. Still, we are hard coding in the second approach. So in third approach, we have created different files for different purpose, and there is a proper directory structure, and each directory has a different meaning. And we are not hard coding. We have a file for defining the input parameters. We have a file, main file, from where the execution starts. We have a directory to keep the templates. We have a directory to keep the files, right? So this concept is called roles. Is it? Ansible roles. This concept is called Ansible roles. What is it? We can define a role for a particular purpose. Let us say web server is a role. This will install all, it will perform all the common tasks like SSH and all, and then it will also install HTTP, etc. Configures it. How does it configure it? So there is a directory called etc Ansible playbook, and there is a directory called etc Ansible roles. In roles, I define a group called web servers. Under that web servers, I have vars. I have same directory main. I have templates. I have files, etc. Some more directories also will be there. We'll see that. So what do we define in my playbook? In etc Ansible playbook, I'll say role1.yaml. So this is abstracted. You don't see anything in the playbook. So in the playbook, I just say host is equal to web servers, role is equal to role1. That's all. Or let us say I name this as role1. So this entire thing is abstraction now. If you open a playbook, you'll not see anything. I'm just asking to execute a role called role1 on the group called web servers. Now I'll go to role1. In the role1, I have all these directories. From where the execution starts, from main task.yaml, right? Where the variables are defined, vars main.yaml. Where are my templates present? Templates index.html. Where are my non-text file present? In files, cloud.image or whatever. This is about roles. So Ansible Galaxy has a lot of roles. So when we simply download, what do we get is a role. Then we need to associate that particular role with the group or one host. So on that particular host, that role will be executed. Is this clear? What are we doing here? Are you clear with these three approaches? Why Ansible roles are important? Approach 1, we define everything in a single playbook, and it's not like we are calling something. Everything we define in a monolithic fashion, which is not good. In approach 2, we have something like include keyword, wherein we can include a specific task. We can call a particular playbook from another playbook. In approach 3, we have a properly aligned structure, directory structure. So what do we call that? We call them Ansible roles. So each role is for a specific purpose. Role 1 is for setting up HTTP. Role 2 is setting up for DB servers. Role 3 is for setting up app servers. Then how do we write my playbook? I just write 3 playbooks. I just associate only 2 lines in the playbook. What is that? Host is web servers, role is role 1. Host is DB servers, role is role 2. Host is application server, role is role 3. That's all. And when I execute a playbook using Ansible -playbook role1.yaml, the control goes to role1 main tasks.yaml. Inside the task.yaml, if I define some parameters, those parameters will be fetched from main.yaml. Actually, there will be another file called defaults.yaml. Default main.yaml. So some applications will have some default value, right? So that there is something called variable precedence. So where if a variable is defined twice, once in default, second time in vars. So which one to take? Which one has the highest precedence, right? So there is a variable precedent that also will see. Based on the variable precedence, it will take the variable and use it while executing the playbook. Is this clear?
In this case, only main.yaml will work. Like role 1 is only main.yaml. It's calling that file only, right?
Right.
On not other files like default or main task. Only
what happens is when main YAML task.yaml is executed, let us say in task.yaml you have defined a parameter. What is that parameter? Variable, HTTP_port, or something like host name.
Okay.
Then it will go to vars first. It will check whether that is basically based on the variable precedence. That we'll see later. But it will basically particular value.
My question is, like in this case, the first type is a host is web server, role is role 1, right? The role 1 will execute main.yaml, whatever in the main.yaml, of course, but it will execute only main.yaml. So target is main.yaml, right?
Right. No, it will execute all, but the control starts from task.yaml, main task.yaml.
Okay.
Let us say in the task.yaml you said include task1.yaml. It will go to task1.yaml. So same like any framework you define in Perl or Python, right? We write a main script, right? So in C program you have something called main block, right? So always the execution starts from main. So this is something like main.
Let's say main task.yaml. What is the complete path? Is it the role 1?
Sorry, I think
that's a little bit confusing. I think, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it's like a same path, so I didn't write it.
Okay,
this
the path is
same. This is same for all directories. So all are inside role 1.
Okay, now it's clear. Okay, got you.
That's why I said it's a properly aligned directory structure, because everything is inside role 1.
I see approach 2 and approach 3 pretty much the same. In approach 2, you're calling one of the playbook, and And in approach 3, basically you basically naming that playbook as role 1 or role 2, right?
But in approach 2, we are hard coding, right? Where is the way to define the variables? We shouldn't hard code any time, right? That is one way. That is one thing. And second thing, let us say you have written a playbook and it is inside playbooks directory. And let us say you are using a lot of templates here, right? Templates in the sense index.yaml, which we have seen. Like that, you're using some 10 templates.
Okay.
So you have written 10 playbooks like this. So we have written 10 playbooks like this, sample 1, sample 2, and there are some 100 index.html files. So at a later point of time, I log into the node, etc Ansible playbooks, I go to that path and see there are a lot of HTML files, templates and all. Can I find out which template is related to which playbook just by seeing the index.html? I mean, without opening? We cannot.
No.
Everything is in single directory. It's really difficult for me to understand what is happening. But if I have role kind of structure, if I go inside the role, I know that this template, this file is particular to my role, right? So that's the advantage, right, for us. So there is a clear definition of we distinguish DB servers from web servers, right? So web servers have a complete separate directory. In that directory, only the files which are related to web servers is present, right? So the advantages of approach 3 is clean directory structure. Second is defining the variables inside a file instead of defining in the source code, instead of defining in the instead of hard coding the variables, right? Is it clear? Any questions? Anybody, any questions? So let us say I want to configure something. Let us say network time protocol server. What is this NTP? So this will set up, let us say I'm a developer and I'm debugging something, right? So there is an application that runs on multiple machines and there are some features. So someone has raised a bug. So to debug, I need to have look at the logs, right? So I need to compare the machine 1 with machine 2. What is happening in the machine 1 at some point of time and what is happening at the machine at the same time. So to do that, let us say there is a time delay between the machines. So it will be really tough time for me to understand what is happening because the time is not same on the both machines. So let us say in my data center, all machines should have the same time. There should not be any time delay, right? Let us say morning 8:30 0001 in one machine, 8:30 01 10 in another machine. But when we are debugging, the operations happen within fraction of seconds. So not even single millisecond there should be difference, right? So it should be completely same. If it is 8:30 001, this also has to be 8:30 001 on all the machines. Let us say you have 100 machines. So it is difficult to get the sync between the time. So what do we use is there is something called NTP protocol, network time protocol on Linux machines. What happens is here we configure one centralized server and we set up the time on it and all the other machines follow that time. Right? Even if you have 100 clients, all the 100 clients will have the same time as the server. That is called NTP. This we need to configure. So this is a job. Let us say I want to do that on my data center. So what do we need to do? Simply I need to go to Galaxy, Ansible Galaxy. What is Galaxy? It's a repository of roles. What is role? The above one, whatever we discussed so far. So in the Ansible Galaxy, I go and download the NTP and then I write a playbook. So my playbook will not have anything. Simply it will say something like this -hosts, let us say web servers, and I just say role NTP. Done. If you just execute, NTP will be set up on all the web servers, right? So where do we download NTP? We have to download in Ansible roles NTP. So again, under NTP, as we discussed, we will have main tasks.yaml. In the same way, in the same directory, vars main.yaml, etc. So all the directory structure will be there. So what we download from Galaxy is the role. Role will have a directory structure. It will have a lot of files. So far, whatever we have seen is simple playbooks. Inside that, inside the role also, there will be a lot of code, and that code will have some Python syntax, some YAML syntax, but basically whatever we discussed, something like when there are some loops, there are some what is that, looping through the list. Let us say you want to install 100 packages. How do we install? How do we install 100 packages? What is the variable we used? Something like a for loop. What is equivalent of for loop in Ansible? What is equivalent of if loop in Ansible?
With underscore item.
Right. So with underscore items. So this kind of code will be there inside the role, because see, when a role is written, we have to take care of all the operating systems. So it's not like a role works for a particular operating system. So we need to take care of all these things. So when we write a role, we need to write all these things. So roles are for, performing some task. We can download from Ansible Galaxy. We can directly use it. We can associate a particular playbook. How do we associate a playbook? We simply say host and role. So on this group, this role will be executed. So whatever is the code inside this, it will be executed. From where the execution starts? From main task.yaml. Is this clear? Any questions so far?
Are we going to implement like approach 3 in the lab later on, or?
Yes, we are going to see roles. We'll see tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have seen approach 1, we have seen also approach 2, we have also executed some include playbook, and we are going to see approach 3 tomorrow. So approach 3 is better compared to approach 1 and approach 2, right? So this is about Ansible roles. So we have seen Ansible Vault, which is basically for encrypting the playbook, and when we execute Ansible Vault and encrypt and a playbook, it will encrypt so that nobody can see the content of the playbook, or nobody can execute without password. So this is like a setting a password. Then if we want to decrypt, we can use Ansible Vault decrypt, and if we want to execute a playbook which is already encrypted, we can still do that using Ansible playbook sample.yaml ask vault password pass. This will ask the password. If it is right password, it will execute, it will decrypt on the fly, and it will execute. Right? Is this clear? Any questions in today's class?
Is it Ansible Galaxy is a command like Ansible-Galaxy, or?
No, this is like a repository. In a sense, it's a website. In a sense, it's a galaxy.ansible.com.
Oh, so there are roles you can download?
Yeah, directly we can download roles. 1 minute, galaxy.ansible.com. So this is the repository. You can just go here, explore, and you can search for the roles, browse roles, and you can search for any role, MySQL. So these are all the roles. So how to download the role, which role is specific to which operating system, what are the things we need to check, that we'll see. Okay.
So basically that role allows you to basically install the, let's say, MySQL on Ubuntu.
Yes, right.
Okay, so just like a predefined kind of a template.
Yeah, so it's pre-written, we can just reuse it.
Okay.